In today's webinar, we are going to go over the different options that the blocking and hole series tools give you. And also I'm going to show you how to apply blocking and hole to your floor panels. So you can see here I have a couple of floors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the options that are available, and then from there I'm going to show you how they would look like in your panels. The options you can see here, I am in the floor module. The options are going to be available in the tools, project bridging type, and this is where our options for our blocking are going to be. So you're going to get a dialog box similar to this. You're first going to hit create new, and you can see these are the options that are available. I've already pre-created them, so I'm going to go through each of those. So the first one is our traditional blocking. So in this portion here, you're going to select the type of family you're going to use, and then in that family, what size. So I am using a BIMSF SSMA S member, and I'm going to be using the size 1000 S250-54 with a KSI 50. Next on that list is the vertical reference point. So this is referencing to your joist. So for blocking, we always take the center of the blocking, and this will define where you're going to be placing it on the joist. So is it the center of the blocking to the center of the joist, or is it the center of the blocking to the top of the joist or the bottom of the joist? So for this example, I'm going to be using center to center. You also have an option to create cutbacks for your blocking if you want to add additional cutbacks. Here is how we're going to be placing our blocking. So we have our first bay and last bay. So you can have a continuous blocking from the start of the panel, let's say 2, and then from there we can skip every bay if that's what you would like. Same thing for the to the end too. Next option here is if you want to extend to a non-panel joist. So what you can do is you can have this option checked. Where do you want us to extend, the start or the end of the panel? And if we do, what's the distance you want us to go? Again, back in the spacing portion here, we have 2 options. We have by every bay. So here you just define which bays you would like. So currently right now I'm saying every bay. So I'm going to have continuous blocking. Again, breaking at every joist, or I can say a maximum distance, and then I can say from 9 feet, and we're going to put equal spacing, and then we're going to take the next portion of the 9 feet and so forth. So for this example, I am going to be using it at every bay. You also have the option to put a flat strap on top or on bottom of the blocking. You just need to select the type of family you're going to be using and then what size. And you also have the option to create do a justification of it so you can move it up or down. Again, depending on which member you are going to be using, you need to make sure you select the correct one. So I am using a C member or an S member, so that's why I have that one selected. However, if I was going to be using a T member, I would change it to the T's. Again, you need to make sure you have the correct cutbacks so that you can have it placed in the correct location. So this is my hard side. I am going to have it stop at 1, so the flush. And then from there we can, put a, depending on how we want to do it, if we were welding it or, placing an angle. Or if you want to, you do also have the option to extend, so you can create that operation of the web notch and the lip cut, and then if you would like to do that, you just, again, depending on how you want to do it, if you want to put it onto a 4, you do have that option. For the open side, I am going to stop at 2. Next one is the continuous blocking. So this is very similar to the blocking, however, we are not going to cut your blocking at every joist. This is going to be one continuous member, such as if you, let's say, for example, you would like just like a rod. This is an option that you can use. Currently, I'm going to be using an L angle for this example, but you can use any member that you want. You can just, again, hit the pull down, select the family, and then select the size that you need. With this one here, we still have the vertical reference point. And with this one, we can rotate the member for 0, 90, 180, or 100, 270. And then for the tagging, we can tag it as a blocking or as a strap. Next one is our notching member. So for this one here, I'm going to put a notching on the bottom of my panel. So you can see in the little image that we're given. So it's just going to be a member. I am going to be using a T member. And since I'm using a T member, I need to create notches for our joist so it can sit on the joist can sit on it. Again, I am using a MWF SSMA T, and I am using a 1000 T250 54 with the KSI 50. And you can see that there is a whole series. So I have created a whole series for the notching. So it's a rectangular hole, and the rectangular hole will cut out the location that I need for it to not clash. You also have the option to create an offset on it. We will go over the rectangle holes very shortly, but I have already set it up there. So from there, we're going to hit OK. Now for the whole series, again, it is still under the tools. We're going to scroll down where it says Project Whole Series. This dialog box will pop up. And then from here, the first option that we have is the rectangle hole. So we have a couple of options here. So you have offset from center. With our holes, we'll automatically place them on the center of the joist. From that location, you can shift it up or down depending on how you would like to place it. If you are outputting to a CNC machine and you would like the holes to be punched out with that CNC machine, you need to make sure you put a CNC code here. The machine, depends on the type of machine you're using, will determine what code you're going to be placing there. From here, you have your width and height. Again, that would define the location or the height and width of that rectangle. And you also have the stretching with sloping. So let's say if your members are sloping, how do you want us to deal with the holes? Do you want us to go with the slope, or do you just want us to keep it vertical? Next one we have is the rectangle void. So if I did hit the create here, you can see these are the ones that we have. The round and the rectangles, we do have void families for them too. With those families, you can see with the rectangle, you can see that we have the same options that we would have with the regular rectangle. However, the sloping is not available since it is just one family and it is a void family. Next one in that list is the round hole. So again, we do have the offset from center, your CNC code, and also we have the diameter of that hole. So I am going to be using 3" for the diameter. Please note that this is just for modeling. This is not what the output's going to be. So if you were going to output this and your machine only created, let's say, for example, a 2" hole, but I have modeled a 3", the output's going to have the 2" because that's what the machine does. This is purely for just modeling. And again, we have that sloping for the holes. We have a round hole for the void. And you can see we have the same options. The only thing that we have a little bit different is this hole can be used for a lifting toggle also. Last one we have is the slot hole. So we have the offset from center, we have the CNC code, and we have the center to center distance, and then we have the hole diameter for the slot. Perfect, we're going to hit OK. Now we would like to apply that information to the floor panel. So to do that, we're going to select a joist. We're going to go into MWF. We're going to hit Tools. And we're just going to scroll where it says Create a Marker Lines. So this dialog box is going to pop up, and this is where you're going to set up all the information that is needed for that marker line for us to apply, let's say, the whole series and the blocking. So first thing we need to select is how we are going to apply with the spacing. So we have a couple of ways. So we can do it just where there's a wall supported. So let's say you needed some more additional blocking at that location. What we can do is, if there are any walls below this, we can just put the lines where there are walls. Same thing when it comes to beam. And we also have the option when it comes to the start and end of the panel. We can just put what we call marker lines in that location, so to create like a ladder blocking. Or we can just do regular spacing. You have your first offset, and then from there you have your traditional spacing. So I'm going to say my first offset is 2 feet, and then the rest of it is going to be 4 feet. If you just wanted, let's say, for example, just to place one line, what you can do is just put that value to the first offset. Again, it is going to be starting from the start of the panel. And then for the spacing, you can put a larger number of what the panel is, and then you can just get one. However, you're going to see when we do place the marker lines how we can manipulate them. And we also can associate a benchmark to the spacing of your marker lines. Another option that we have is the equal spacing from max distance. So right now, the default value that we give you is 9 feet. So from that 9 feet, we can give you an equal spacing of your markers, and then take the next 9 feet and do the same thing. We can also assign joist setters. We also have that lift and toggle. And here is where we're going to come in here and select or associate the blocking or bridging type and whole series. So we're just going to hit this pull down here. Let's say if I take my blocking, you can notice that we do have a bridging option here. If I hit option, this is how it's going to look like. So this allows us to also place whole series through the bridging option. So we can come in here, select the type of hole, and also, again, like I said, it's always going to put it in the center. Here, it's going to follow the bridging member. We can uncheck that if we like, and then we can put a running offset if we want. We can flip it, and also we can go back and put it to centered, and it also gives you a minimum distance, edge distance. So I'm going to put it back to blank. And I also have the option to put whole series also. So for this example, I'm just going to put blocking. We're going to hit OK. And you can see we have created some lines. So I'm just going to go into top view so we can get a little bit better view. So these are the lines. I can see because I am putting blocking and the blocking are staggered, I think this was a little too close. So what I can do is just selecting it and just hitting delete on my keyboard, or even hit delete above here. This one here is a little close too, and I don't want it to go all the way. So I just want it to maybe stop right here. We do have that option. Again, we can move these two. So we do have that option. I'm just going to move this one. I can move it just like this too. And the same thing over here is we can, since we're placing blocking, if I do have my hole or my line stopping in the center or nothing connecting to the additional joist, we will not put a blocking here. So we won't put them halfway. So the only way for us to have the blocking here, we need to make sure that it goes to the edge here. Perfect. Now I have put all blocking on these marker lines. However, in this panel, this marker line needs to be holes. So to change that, you're going to select the marker line. You're going to go into MWF and you're going to hit properties. So by doing this, what's going to happen is a dialog box is going to pop up with the properties of that marker line. And there is where you can change the properties. So you can see it's associated to my bridging type of the blocking. We're going to put that back to blank. And then from here, we can select the type of hole we want. Also, there's an option to enable our stiffeners. So we can have that option checked. We're going to go and hit options. And then here, where you're going to put your stiffeners, you can put them outside stud, inside stud, both sides, joist stiffeners with the outside stud, or in both. You can come in here, you can invert the start or end, you can select the stud family and also the stiffener family. And then you have the stiffener length. So I'm going to have that option unchecked, going to hit OK. And now when I regenerate the panel, what's going to happen is it's going to have my blocking in these three, and this one's going to have my slot holes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to look at each of the options applied to the panel. So I'm just going to zoom in over here. So this is my continuous blocking. So you can see it's not cut. And I've also associated my hole types to it. So this is my round holes. So if we do exactly the same thing that we just did in the previous hole, you're going to see in the panel's property, I'm just going to put on my other screen. You're going to see that I have associated bridging types and a hole series to it. If we zoom over here, let me select the type of member. You can see that we do have that staggered option there for our blocking. And it's at each day. Next one is the notching. So you can see that because it is set to my rectangle hole, I have created a continuous member and it is cut where the joist is. If I change the rectangle hole to something smaller, I can maybe have, the member and then just cut the portion here. Also, if I zoom back in there, this is our rectangle hole. Again, this is just for the notching. However, we can create hole types that are just rectangle in your joist also. If we zoom over here, we can check, this is my slot hole. This is how my slot hole will look like. This is my round hole here. And again, like I said, this is just our rectangular void. So you can see it's one full void. And this is how our rectangle hole is going to look like, and also our void. The void will have, again, like I said, one full member. And if I select here too, this is my round void family. And the last one I have again is a slot. So in this webinar, we went over how the different options when it comes to blocking and hole series and how to apply blocking and hole series to your panel.
All right, thank you, Marilyn, for the presentation. We will now open the floor and invite your questions. And while we wait for your questions, I'd just like to remind you that the recording of this presentation will be sent through tomorrow via email and posted on our social media channels by the end of the day today. So please feel free to share this recording with your colleagues and your friends. And again, if you want to ask a question, you can do so by raising your hand in the webinar dashboard or by typing it in the questions tab. And we're just going to wait a few more seconds to see if there are any questions. All right, that looks like a wrap for today. If there are any questions after this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details will be provided along with the recording tomorrow via email. If you would like to have a one-on-one demonstration with one of our product experts, we will be happy to set that up for you. And we will now be ending the webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.